So good morning. I'm a little warm after all the running. We made it. We made it. This is our final talk about love. Specifically, our final talk about how to be the love in any situation, in every situation. And we can all agree that love is exactly what the world has needed more of pretty much since the dawn of humanity, right? Yeah, and I know it's become abundantly clear that in the wake of the fires that have dramatically altered the landscape of our community the last few weeks, we're going to need to bring all the love we can for as long as it takes to rebuild and heal, right? Now, just so that we can get an idea of how important it is for us to immediately step into being the love, how many of us here have lost property in the fires or know somebody who has lost property in the fires? Almost every single person here. How many of us know somebody who has lost their entire house or business and everything in it? Again, the majority of us. I am not asking these things to bring up fear or to reconnect us to painful emotions. I'm asking them because I want us all to get a real and honest sense of how important our job is in all of this. According to Google 4 days ago, a damage assessment team said that about 6,662 structures were destroyed in the Palisades fire. And that's awful. What kind of numbers did that assessment team give about the damage right here in the Eaton fire? 9,418. 9,418 of our friends, family members, neighbors, and business owners and operators don't have a building to call their own anymore. Nor do they have the things that they once kept in that former building. And through the loss of those buildings, countless employees are now without jobs, and therefore with no way to support themselves or their families. The reach of the fire extends far beyond the footprint left by the flames. And all of that sounds horrible. But that is not why we're talking about these things. Stay with me here because I think it's going to make sense. So all of that chaos and scariness brought what? It brought thousands of hands together across the country and across the world to provide support. People feel held. We're all doing whatever we can to help. We are no longer arguing over politics or beliefs. We are pulling together human to human. And that is beautiful. Really, the immediate response has been nothing short of heroic. And that is certainly the kind of thing that we're aiming for in our pursuit to be love, right? That's a great, big, visible, undeniable example of what it looks like to be love in a time of trial. And it's beautiful when people come together like this. But when all the immediate needs are met and the large organizations have gone, where will our community turn? Where will people go to feel that sense of loving support? If you allow yourself today to surrender into being love with a capital L, if you allow yourself to join me in making the permanent choice to cast aside all of our opinions and our judgments and our worries and fears and step into being that divine light you've always been meant for, the answer to the question of where they will turn is they will turn wherever you are, wherever I am, wherever we are. And because we're making this a permanent choice, we're in it for the long haul, right? We are in this business of love for as long as we live, right? Do you feel as motivated as I do in this? Do you feel as inspired? Yeah? That's pretty cool. But what does that mean? What does it look like to be love beyond all the organizations that have come? What does it look like to be love when the cameras are not on? Right? Because right now we see these beautiful examples of what it looks like in a newsworthy sense. We're seeing it on screens and on pages wherever we turn right now. And we can keep doing what it takes to physically help rebuild. But while the fires have given us this opportunity to come together and do whatever it takes to rebuild, there were no fires when we started these talks, right? We were already trying to figure out how to navigate the world as love before nature stepped in and gave us a shove to get moving. And because all of that's happened, I've got to confess, I had to go back and figure out where we started. I had to go back and look at where this whole series began and where we were headed before everything kind of went off the rails. So, first, we learned that in order to truly commit to being love, we have to suspend all of our attitudes about us versus them, right? There is no them. We need to get to the point where we realize that there is no them. There has always been only us. We have to let go of our grievances and forgive and stop letting our past color our present. Because when we use our past as the lens through which we see everything that has happened, is happening, or will happen, our experience is shaped by the pain or anger or whatever other emotion we experience during that past event. And then every past colored event to follow makes the lens that much more difficult to see through, until we appear to be seeing the world as largely consisting of only darkness. How many of us know somebody who kind of just plain has a dismal attitude about the world and the people around them a lot of the time? Yeah, maybe a couple. Someone who seems to complain about almost everything, big and small, in their life and in the world. I bet they are carrying around a dark lens. And the cool thing is, if you're being love, you'll be able to see opportunities to wipe some of the darkness off of their lens so that they can begin to see the light again, because you live from a place of seeing love's light shining through. You will easily be able to help them begin to see it too, and that's huge. And you remember that story that I told you in the beginning about my high school friend who was an angel one day, how he pulled children out of a car on the side of the freeway only seconds before the interior burst into flames. The big message there is that we are all called to be angels to others, to be the hands and the eyes and the heart of the divine, right? We just have to put down that dark lens and be present so that we don't miss the opportunities that we're given. So that was a little bit about our first talk on love. And the second talk was about how we've been conditioned to constantly try to keep others' opinions about us high, right? And because most of our time is spent with us, with at least part of us, experiencing, and part of us simultaneously making sure everyone is okay with us, we're generally not fully us. Right? We are the us that we want people to know. Think about that for a minute. And because we are trying so hard to be the us we want other people to know, we miss a lot of those angel opportunities. Not only are we missing angel opportunities because we're keeping track of appearance, but we're also unwittingly taking stock of the way others appear. Ooh. And as long as we're doing that, we're going to have a tough time being love. We can't hold opinions about and still be fully present as love. Judgment, whether it's positive or negative, creates division on some level. And we can't hold on to division if we want to do this love thing, right? Now, talk 3 was about how we're all part of one body. The Bible tells us in 3 different books, it describes us as one body with many parts. And it's echoed throughout Buddhism and Judaism and a whole lot of other faith traditions. Each of us is an equally important, equally necessary part of that one body of all. We each have our function. Nobody else can do for the body what we can. And you remember that illustration that I used about my own body, specifically how the tip of my pinky finger, who I named Jason, right? He didn't seem significant, but was in fact responsible for vital sensation and protection for the whole finger and strength for the entire hand. And then there was the little knuckle right below Jason here. That's Jillian, right? And Jillian, she doesn't like Jason very much. And she has a lot of judgment about Jason, and she actually put some effort into sabotaging him, right? And although Jillian the Knuckles' opinion of Jason the Fingertip didn't make Jason's role any less important, her attempts at messing Jason up made his job a whole lot harder, which made it harder to the rest of the finger and to the hand and to all of the arm parts, onward into the torso and the rest of the body. The point is, we have to honor everyone as equally important because it's true. Now, do we have to hang out with everyone and sing Kumbaya? No, we do not. We can allow them to be their amazing, necessary, perfect selves far away from us in some cases, right? Kind of like how the eyeball and the derriere are both doing perfect eyeball and derriere stuff on opposite ends of the torso, right? Equally important. We can agree, because how would we see the beauty in the world without the eye? And upon what would we sit to view it? Right? Equally important. And in that very same talk, we used Kuan Yin's beautiful story about compassion and peacocks to guide us into the realization that if we want the body of humanity to succeed, we must always come from a place of compassion. In compassion, there is no room for anything other than love. And then 2 days after that talk on being loved through embodying compassion, our lives were dramatically altered. And by the following Sunday, I was clueless about how to proceed. So I randomly opened up one of my precious books and I let God choose the page. And then I got my brain and my thoughts out of the way and just kind of let my fingers record whatever was meant to come out. And where I ended up came about through the story of author and activist Holly Dexter's family's fire experience, how they made it out and felt supported by hundreds of hands in the aftermath. And her story brought us to the realization that although we couldn't have known it when we started way back in the Now series in May, all the way back there, we couldn't have known that we were doing all the work to prepare ourselves to become love and remain love now. To support and nurture and hold strong that body around us for as long as it takes to renew our home. Not just the body of our immediate community, but the world. We've done all of the preparation to show the world the difference between demonstrating love and being love. So, let me give you a little look into how sermon writing went for me. I put everything down on the page right up to that point, just fine. It went swimmingly, and then my brain stopped completely. That was what I heard. And I said out loud, well, crud. What am I going to do now? And nobody answered. Not even crickets. I heard nothing, right? But I had an experience on Friday, which I think lends itself to today's point. So on Tuesday morning, I realized that I was out of 2 prescriptions because I don't pay attention a lot of the time to details. You know what I mean? So I went to the Kaiser Pharmacy in Irwindale to refill them, and that pharmacy only had one of the medications. So I filled the one, but it wasn't until Friday, because again, I procrastinate, it wasn't until Friday that I was able to get to another location to get the other one filled. So there I am. I'm at my local San Dimas Kaiser, and they have the medication, right? Cool. And the lady at the counter says, it'll be at least an hour. We're backed up. Not nearly as cool, but doable, right? So if you're familiar with Kaiser, who's familiar with how Kaiser works? Okay, so if you're not, if you check in, if you're in the pharmacy and you check in before you fill the prescription, they'll call your name when it's ready. You just go sit down and they'll call you to the counter. So I sat down and I waited. And I read for a bit and I played a game for a bit. And just when I was getting a little antsy, this man kind of unceremoniously plopped down next to me, no warning. And this is, the seats are like this big. And so here I am, my tushy over here, and he, boop, and there was no missing that because he came all the way down, and there he was. And he was a really friendly guy. And so we started talking, and after about half an hour of just chatting, he turns to me and he says, so what do you do? And when I told him I'm a minister, he immediately told me this story. He and a friend were on some kind of a day trip, okay? ADD admission here. I noticed my phone buzz with the alert that my prescription had been filled, so I was not paying any attention when he started the story. So he's somewhere. He's somewhere with a friend. I believe it's in California. Who knows? It could be anywhere. Paint the picture in your head. So as he and his friend are stopped at wherever they were, this bright red Dodge Charger with all the bells and whistles pulls up. And both of these men admire the car and both notice that a lady is driving it. And they compliment the car and they ask if it belongs to her husband. Now, hold on. I heard that. Before some of y'all get touchy, please understand that when I said that the car had all the bells and whistles, I meant that it was all souped up, right? Like the kind of hot rod that you see at the predominantly male car clubs that my middle son belongs to. And as a general rule, women want no part of the nonsense those boys get up to in those car clubs, okay? So that is the perspective that they were coming from when they asked her that question. No, she replied, it's mine. It's all mine. And they compliment her and she begins to drive away, but then she stops and she turns back around and looking at my new seatmate, she says, you have something heavy on your mind, don't you? Can I talk to you for a little while? Now, he thought this was interesting. And he said to me then, I didn't really have anything on my mind as far as I knew, but I was willing to have a conversation. So the lady parked and she walked over and she tells him she is a fisher of men. If you're unfamiliar with the term, it speaks of casting the net of the biblical gospel into the sea of humanity to bring others into the Christian faith. And he had no idea what that meant at the time. He said, I thought she was hitting on me or something. He said, I didn't know what to think. He says, she just sat there with me, just talking about me. For like 2 hours, she had me with tears streaming down my face, and she just took all of this weight from me that I didn't even know I was holding. I talked to her about losing my son in a car accident when he was just 24, how I live regretting that I didn't get to say goodbye. Talked to her about all kinds of stuff that I didn't know was in there. And then she gave me a little book and a hug, and she drove away. And I remember that when she left, my buddy came over and said, what was that all about? And I told him that lady was an angel. And he told me that he still has that little book 2 years later. and that he opens it now and then to remind him of how important his interaction with her was and how angels can come to us in the form of ordinary people. And isn't that what we're trying to actualize in ourselves right now? That willingness to be an angel for someone. And she didn't care what anyone thought. She risked ridicule or judgment or rejection just because she felt compelled to act as compassionate love. She didn't know why she was guided to talk with him. She just listened when God said, now. And here is where the story comes full circle to our present experience. So Kaiser, they never called my name. I guess the line was getting long, so they just stopped calling names. And I sat there for far too long, but I had to get here because we were having our first support group meeting. I had to get here and make copies and get things set up. So there I am. And I look at the line and I see that the line goes from the pharmacy out the door into the hallway and out into the parking lot. So I decided to leave without my prescription, and I'll probably pick it up at some point next week. Before I stood up, I think he saw me get antsy, and he asked me for my card, and he offered me 2 of his, and I'm glad there were 2, because when I looked down at his card, I saw that his name was George, he is an environmental engineer and the owner of a business whose focus is on removing hazardous materials, like those left behind when lots of buildings are burned. His company has already been contracted to begin cleanup of 12 local properties once people are allowed back up there to start moving things. And now we have a direct contact with someone who can help members of our community prepare to build again. George was an angel for me Friday. He was an angel for us. Now Amalia has that info. So if somebody calls and they need that, we can refer them to somebody who does that. We couldn't have before. George could not have known that his brief conversation with me would help me get back on track when my brain stopped braining as I was writing the sermon, right? But it did. Simply by plopping down and being friendly, he shared a story which supported what I'm trying to teach and connected us with a resource that we're really going to need in the days to come. I want to share one more thing with you today, and it comes from a book called We Are the Ones We've Been Waiting For by Alice Walker. And it moved me to tears at one point. And this is what she says on page 134 about the particular passage I'm about to read. She said, I needed to understand and to offer a new gospel, the gospel according to Shug. Shug Avery, unrepentant wild woman and undomesticated blues singer, appeared in my earlier novel, A Color Purple. She epitomizes the person of our time who, through immense suffering and struggle, accepts and affirms her own self as an expression of the great mystery. In her being, she is a healing medicine to those around her, because in her there is achieved at long last balance and the ability, as Virginia Woolf might have said, to consider things in themselves, not as other people might wish her to, but as they actually are. In other words, she is free. And this is the gospel according to Shug, which follows that passage. And I will know that to bless in this breakdown means to help. So when I say helped are those, I'm talking about those who have mastered the art of listening for Spirit's voice and allowing it to govern their path. Helped are those who are enemies of their own racism. They shall live in harmony with the citizens of this world and not with those of the world of their ancestors, which has passed away and which they shall never see again. Helped are those born from love, conceived in their father's tenderness and their mother's womb, for they shall be those, numbers of whom will be called illegitimate, whose spirits shall know no boundaries, even between heaven and earth, and whose eyes shall reveal the spark of love that was their own creation. They shall know joy equal to their suffering, and they will lead multitudes into dancing and peace. Helped are those who are too busy living to respond when they are wrongfully attacked. On their walks, they shall find mysteries so intriguing as to distract them from every blow. Helped are those who find something in creation to admire each and every hour. Their days will overflow with beauty, and the darkest dungeon will offer gifts. Helped are those who receive only to give. Always in their house will be the circular energy of generosity, and in their hearts, a beginning of a new age on earth where no keys will be needed to unlock the heart and no locks will be needed on the doors. Helped are those who are content to be themselves. They will never lack mystery in their lives, and the joys of self-discovery will be constant. Helped are those who love the entire cosmos rather than their own tiny country, city, or farm. To them will be shown the unbroken web of life and the meaning of infinity. Helped are those who live in quietness. I typoed. Who live in quietness, knowing neither brand name nor fad. They shall live each day as if in eternity, and each moment shall be as full as it is long. Helped are those who love others unsplit off from their faults. To them will be given clarity of vision. Helped are those who create anything at all, for they shall relive the thrill of their own conception and realize a partnership in the creation of the universe that keeps them responsible and cheerful. Helped are those who love the earth, their mother, and who willingly suffer that she may not die. In their grief over her pain, they will weep rivers of blood, and in their joy, in her lively response to live, they will converse with trees. Helped are those whose every act is a prayer for harmony in the universe, for they are the restorers of balance to our planet. To them will be given the insight that every good act done anywhere in the cosmos welcomes the life of an animal or a child. Helped are those who risk themselves for others' sakes. To them will be given opportunities for even greater risks. Theirs will be a vision of the world in which no one's gift is despised or lost. Helped are those who strive to give up their anger. Their reward will be that in any confrontation, their first thoughts will never be of violence or war. Helped are those whose every act is a prayer for peace. On them depends the future of the world. Helped are those who forgive. Their reward shall be forgetfulness of every evil done to them. It will be in their power, therefore, to envision the new earth. Helped are those who are shown the existence of the Creator's magic in the universe. They shall experience delight and astonishment without ceasing. Helped are those who laugh with a pure heart. Theirs will be the company of the jolly righteous. Helped are those who love all the colors of all the human beings, as they love all the colors of animals and plants. And helped are those who love the lesbian, the gay, and the straight, as they love the sun, the moon, and the stars. And helped are those who love the broken and the whole. For these three, none of their children, nor any of their ancestors, nor any parts of themselves shall be hidden from them. Helped are those who do not join mobs. Theirs shall be understanding that to attack in anger is to murder in confusion. Helped are those who find the courage to do at least one small thing each day to help the existence of another plant, animal, river, or human being. They shall be joined by a multitude of the timid. Helped are those who lose their fear of death. Theirs is the power to envision the future in a blade of grass. Helped are those who love and actively support the diversity of life. They shall be secure in their differences. Helped are those who know. Be still and know, beloveds, Your angels who've been awaiting flight, take to the skies. Thank you.